Hello, it's me, Todd Walters, and I want to thank you for coming to this Millionaire Agent Masterclass. I thought I would sit down and record a video that with a couple of stories that I think you'd find very interesting. But what we hope happens today is that you learn something. And when I say learn something, something that you don't already know that will absolutely help you elevate your real estate business. So let me ask you guys a question real fast. And the question is, what is your real estate business supposed to do for you? All right, that's a really good question, right? It's a question that entered my mind about 25, 30 years ago. And I basically went on a journey to try to get the answer to that question. And what I discovered is that my real estate business was supposed to serve my life. And in turn for serving my life, it would allow me to do a better job of serving others. So what we discovered is that no real solo agent could really accomplish those kinds of things. Let me explain to you what I mean. You kind of know how this works as a solo agent, right? When you're working all by yourself, if you're on a listing appointment, the facts are is that you're not at home with your kids if you have kids. If you're at your child's football game, then that means you're not with a buyer out looking at houses or on the phone calling back some of the leads, right? And therein lies the problem with real estate agents, is that they try to be all things to all people for the most part. And when you do, you dilute your effectiveness. So Craig Proctor and I, we wrote a book together called Death of the Traditional Real Estate Agent, Rise of the Super Profitable Sales Team. And in this book, we make the case that you either need to be on a super profitable real estate sales team or start your own. That the real estate agent in the middle can never really fully provide the lifestyle that they want for them and their families, because you're making constant sacrifices in service to your clients. And if you're doing a great job in serving your clients, then you're probably going to be cheating somebody else in the meantime. And there's a limit to what can be accomplished. Okay, so I would routinely sell 400 to 500 homes a year. And obviously I wouldn't have been able to do that on my own. So I look at it like I was serving 400 to 500 people all along while living a great lifestyle. So I want to give you a little bit about my story. Okay, so when I was 19 years old, I talked to my grandmother and loaned me $40,000. So you got to think I'm a pretty good salesperson, right? To be able to talk to your grandmother and loan you $40,000. She did charge me interest, 10.5% interest rate. And I went out and bought a Primo's Pizza franchise. Okay, I was anxious to get on with life and business and that sort of thing. So I bought this Primo's Pizza franchise. Well, about 3 years into it, I discovered that really what I'd done, I just bought myself a job. So I did what anybody would do when things aren't going so well and you're not getting what you want to get out of life. I got my real estate license. So I went into real estate but discovered early on that it wasn't all that fun. Because you had to do everything. And by doing everything, like I said, I can never really do anything that well. So the first year in the business, I did about $100,000 in commissions, which is outstanding, as I was told, but it was based on my own hustle. And my wife was a flight attendant with Delta, so she was gone pretty good bit, so it allowed me the opportunity to do some extra work, so to speak. All right. But I walked into my broker's office one day, the RE/MAX office I was at. And I asked the broker, I said, hey, look, I think there's more to this business. There's got to be more to it. But I'm looking around at the way agents do things, and it just doesn't seem right. Something's not right here, but I think there's more to it. I think I can make $1 million or more selling real estate. I just don't see anybody doing it around here. And when I said that, the broker laughed at me. He absolutely laughed. And which it hurt a little bit, because here I am, a young kid, 21 years old, and I really believe that this is something that could be done. He says, well, you could probably, and again, this goes back, this is 1989, 1990. And he says, look, there's nobody around here doing that, but there's a lady over here doing a couple $100,000. There's this person over here doing that. And I was like, I don't think you heard me. I believe that I can earn $1 million or more selling real estate. And I said, this person's doing it. And I pointed to him in one of the real estate magazines that there was a RE/MAX agent in Grand Rapids, Michigan that was just sold over 300 houses that year, unheard of in 1990, done over $1 million in commissions. And my broker says, well, maybe you should talk to him. And that was the best advice he ever gave me. So I did. I called up Marshall Redder, #1 RE/MAX agent in the United States of America, flew up to Grand Rapids, hung out with Marshall for 2.5 days, and learned things that you just don't learn in the real estate industry. It was amazing. I'll share those with you here in a moment. I'll tell you what, I'll just go ahead and give them to you now. There were 4 big things I learned from this gentleman. 4. Number one was the development and implementation of a unique selling proposition. A USP, so you may want to write this down, a unique selling proposition. A USP is the answer to the question of why should I list my house with you over and above anybody else or any other option? That's a $1 million question. Why should I list my house with you over and above anybody else or any other option? Okay, the answer to that question is unique selling proposition. So just for kicks, I put into place in 1990, 91, your home sold in 60 days or I'll pay you $1,000 cash. That was the first performance guarantee, unique selling proposition that I tested here in the Metro Atlanta marketplace. I know that I'm known as the guy who your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it, kind of pioneered that here in Metro Atlanta as a real estate agent and RE/MAX agent. And but that come along a few years later after I understood really what that program guarantee was all about. More on that later today. All right, so that was number 1 for Marshall. Number 2 was a contact management system. A CRM, or contact management system, really is a giant flow chart. Okay, I want you to think about that. So flow chart. So when you list a house, now what? Okay, well, there's a checklist for that. When the house closes, now what? Well, there's a checklist for that. When you sign a buyer to a buyer agreement, well, there's a checklist for that. The buyer closes, well, there's a checklist for that. I just got a new lead, now what? There's a checklist for that. In other words, there's a checklist or an activity plan for everything. Everything. And that's exactly what a CRM is. It's a big, giant flow chart. So yes, you've got your contacts in there, but each point along the decision-making line, there's an activity plan. And the activity plan is simply a list of things to do that are assigned to people to do these tasks. Some of them can be done automatically, but most of them are done by people. So I want you to think about this. I could literally be fishing in Montana with my wife, and everyone back in my office would know exactly what to do and when to do it because the activity plans in the CRM told them what to do. All right, so that was number 2 I learned from Marshall. Number 3 was the DISC personal concept. So let me describe this to you. The DISC that most of you have heard of is really the secret to successful selling. The secret is to learn to sell to people the way they want to be sold to. I want you to think about that. To learn to sell to people the way they want to be sold to. It's also the secret to building a great team in terms of managing people the way that they want to be managed. All right? So that was a big epiphany and something I learned from Marshall. The 4th thing, which was maybe the most important, was who he hung out with. And at that time, Marshall was hanging out with a guy named Craig Proctor, who was the #1 RE/MAX agent in the world at that time. So of course, I come back from spending time with Marshall, put some things to work in my real estate business as I described. And then of course, the following year, got on the phone and called Craig Proctor and began a relationship with him. And through Craig Proctor, I was able to grow a super profitable real estate sales team basically by being a great copier of what works and what doesn't work. Okay? So, truth be told, I'm just an excellent copier of systems, direct response marketing, and other things to profit from a super profitable real estate sales team, giving great results to others. Okay, so a little bit about my story there. And since that time, well, put it this way. In 2005, Craig Proctor and I launched a program for real estate agents in his organization. We call it Platinum and Titanium. So since that time, we've coached and trained agents on using the system that you're going to see today into their own business with incredible results. As a matter of fact, out of all the millionaire real estate agents in the United States and Canada, the vast majority of them, without corporate accounts, the vast majority of them use and implement the system that you're going to see today. So how about that, right? So it's nice to be responsible for helping real estate agents go from $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in income to $800,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, and people like Marnie Bennett, a private client of mine, who will do $8 million in gross commission income this year. So that's a lot of fun. So let me start it off this way today for you. How about this? I've had a lot of buyers and sellers come up to me over the years. I've been involved in over 5,000 transactions, me personally, in my first real estate business, and even more since then. I've had a lot of buyers and sellers come up to me and thank me for the job that we've done. Raving fans, testimonials, and referrals, and all that great stuff. Okay? But I never really had anybody come up to me and say, "Hey, Todd, I just want you to know you've changed my life." But with this system and what we're doing at Optimus Real Estate Brokers with this system and all the agents and brokers that we've trained on implementing this system that you're going to hear about today, the numbers of people that have come up to me and said, "Todd, thank you. You've changed my life." Well, that's extremely rewarding, extremely rewarding. So why don't we start with this? What if your real estate business, all the bills that you were generating from your real estate business, what if you could not pay them with commission checks? They could only be paid with referrals and testimonials. What if that was the currency that you used? That the commission check was merely just a transaction formality. But if you wanted to pay your bills, you had to have referrals and testimonials. What would your real estate business look like then? So what I want you to discover today, and let's call this Discovery Day, is that this is about growing your real estate business into a super profitable sales team and moving from a transactional-based business into a relational business that lasts forever, impacting people's lives, and in turn, elevating your lifestyle. So I hope you enjoy it, and go sell big.